Why are you here today?
I'm here today to give support to the 3 million EU citizens because I'm one of those who have lived here since 1977. Yes, and basically we might not be able to have a residence permit, although we've lived here for over 40 years.
What impact do you think this protest would have?
Well, it's important to keep publicity really and awareness of people. It would be nice to see more people because I find that there doesn't seem to be many people around.
Usually come later.
Yes, I think the more there are events like this, the more publicity, then the more people will come, and I think that's got to carry on all the time. Because what I'm scared of is that, okay, you do that for a couple of days and then it dies down and that's it. But I think people have got to be more aware of what's happening now. Especially for the young. I think it's the young people who need to come out really. Yeah. It's people my age, we used to be in the streets. So it's a new lot now. For women to have a mortgage, for instance. Yeah.
People say that the latest developments, such as the vote to leave the EU and the election in the US, were democratic. We should respect democracy. What is your opinion on that?
I don't think it was democratic. I think it was led by tabloids. And there has been, well, in the UK, there has been a certain section of the population that have been led by tabloids like the Daily Mail, the Daily Express and the Sun, and they get all their information from that, and basically that's why they voted. They actually, all their source of information is from the paper, that paper. You had a legitimate part of the Brexit, the Leave people, who were intelligent people, who actually had valid arguments, who were against Maastricht, which was fair enough because they had good arguments. But then what happened is that it was hijacked by the extreme right and basically the tabloids and all that, and that's what we have today. And then the whole thing was probably immigration on top, and that was it. So I think really it wasn't democratic because it was paper-led, tabloid-led. Trump, I don't really know because I wasn't living in the States, but I had seen it here. I mean, I've seen propaganda from the tabloid in this country for decades now, and with lies and lies and lies, and people not saying anything about it, and hiding behind the fact there's freedom of the press, where it's not freedom of the press if you constantly tell lies to people, and people believe it. It's propaganda, basically, extreme right propaganda, lack of information. That's my belief. So it wasn't democratic.
And what was society's greatest weakness, that brought about the present situation?
The weakness, I think people lack of information and people actually not realizing that they're having a good life, and complacency. They don't realize, they take it for granted. For instance, like young people like yourself, you take it for granted. All right, tomorrow I want to go to Amsterdam and Paris, I can go and visit, I can take it for granted because you were born with it. And all of a sudden that's going to vanish. And I don't think people are realizing it, yes, and they are not realizing the consequences of what's happening. Because they haven't known when you had to have a visa to come to the UK, when you had to have polio jab to come to the UK, when you had only in the UK only Brussels sprouts and carrots to eat, for instance. You know, people don't know that. And so you've got the older generations who harp back to the 1950s. But however, the ones who knew the war after the age of 75 know what happened, so those people voted for Remain. But that generation of the 50, 75 who had it good, you know, they've got pensions, they go on their cruises and all this. These are the people really who just sold down the young people. And the young people, I think, are not enough politically minded. They have got to get up a bit more in the street and protest a bit more. There's more to life than Facebook, basically. Because when people are going to tell you, right, sorry, you can't go in, you can't do this, you can't do that anymore, you can't this, then that'll be the problem, I think. They had it too good. Take it for granted. That's the problem. Yeah, anyway.
What was the atmosphere like after Brexit, and is it still the same?
Yeah, it was horrible. We had a lot of xenophobia against foreigners. Anybody whose first mother tongue was not English was basically felt like we were just illegal immigrants. Really terrible. I'm French. I was told to go back to my own country, even by my own mother-in-law. We had some young girls, 2 little girls, 12-year-old girls in a bus coming back from the French lycée who were told to speak English in England. You had some group of Japanese people, tourists, in the tube who were told to speak English in England and this kind of thing. So it was terrible. Basically, I came here because it was a free country. Now one has got to see it as a different country. That's it. So one has to stay here for a while because the child is half British and the father. But some people like myself will be lucky enough because we'll be able to, to bypass the systems. But some people will be stuck here basically. So it's very, very difficult. And the most shocking thing will be as well for EU nationals as well that some people have been contributing to the system since 1981 for their pension, and then we are being advised that we might not be able to have any pension in the UK because we are foreigners. And as well, so they say, well, go back to your own country. Well, if you never contributed in another country, you're not entitled to anything there. So so that is going to be a big problem. So it's pretty bad, and things have changed. Things have changed. Short. I've answered all the questions.
Not quite. Sorry. What do you think will be the effects of Trump and Brexit?
I don't know actually. I hope it's going to mobilize people to actually get them out from the cushy life and see that the cushy life might actually disappear. So I think I might look at it, it might be positive in the sense that it might get people to actually, oh my God, I might not be able to do this anymore and do that anymore and all that. So I think it might be positive in that sense, that things might disappear, that people have taken for granted. It might disappear. So I think it might motivate people, more young people coming out, young people, especially young people. We need the young people to come out really. I feel this is what's lacking. Not enough young to motivate.
One more question.
Yes.
I was wondering about the whole so the 3Million thing is a movement, right?
Yeah.
So what does the actual movement hope to achieve?
Well, to be given the government is to actually give permanent residency to people here who have lived here. We came here legally. Yeah. You live here. You got your family and all that, and then all of a sudden you're being told, you might not be able to stay here. Like people like myself. So what do you do? And they say, but you've got to guarantee the rights of the British nationals. Well, hold on a minute. The other countries didn't vote to come out. It's here. Yeah. So okay, and you just can't threaten people of deportation or using them as bargaining chips, basically. That's what we're going to be used for, and it's people's lives. So it's totally wrong to come. And the worst thing is to actually say that retrospectively. I can understand it if, let's say, this is said to people who come now. But for people who came here legally, worked, have got families, perfectly legally, all of a sudden, and it reminds me in a way, it's very similar to actually what happened in 1930s Germany. like doing that. You know, it's similar, and actually, it's the only time I can close to understand what's happened to them. So that is really the big thing. It's the whole thing being retrospective, and that's terrible. That is really wrong. It's against the law, but you know, again now the sovereignty is back. They make their own law.